Well, I guess I'll do an update. I just came past a car wreck right behind me. I was coming down to see my friends at the park, and there's always news updates. It's strange. I passed a couple of wrecks, a few weeks ago, car fire. They just, the airbag went off, and this is about 2 o'clock, right off of Waldron Road in Compton. Just happened. The ambulance or fire truck is not here yet, but the lady's okay. They're just going to wait for the emergency crew to respond. And it's just strange I'm come up on those scenes. And being I'm doing this, so this will be posted like car wreck, roll time, update. Everyone seems to be okay. I do read the news, and I did today. And so, a few comments. What should be maybe responsible journalism? What would be maybe the top or one of the top stories today? Some of the mainstream ABC, NBC, CBS, I look at them all, had it as close to the top. Here comes the ambulance now. In Syria, Bashar Assad, president of Syria, there seem to be, they're going to try and take a city back. The name of it, I think, is Idlib, I-D-L-I-B. All right. Russia, of course, backs Bashar Assad and his army, and they're taking it back from what we refer to as the rebels. But even the media will say about 10% would be like Al-Qaeda groups. It's very difficult in the environment that we're in to make distinctions at times between rebels or what we refer to as terrorists, Al-Qaeda and things of that nature. But about a week ago, Russia said, they're all coming up now, emergency vehicles. About a week ago, Russia said and warned the community, the UN and so forth, that the rebels or the terrorists in this city are getting ready to do a false flag, what we refer to false flag chemical attack. Okay. Sometimes it's possible that forces that are fighting, particularly in Syria, sometimes it's possible that the rebels themselves or the terrorists themselves release chemical gas. And the reason that it's possible that they have done this before is to get the international community, the US and the Western world, to go in and hit Assad's forces who are backed by Russia. So what Russia said about a week ago, they warned and said they have evidence that the rebels are going to do that, or the fighters in Idlib are going to do that, or the terrorists. Now, we have just put notice, Nikki Haley, the U.S. UN ambassador to the UN, we just basically put them on notice that if Assad uses chemical weapons, the U.S. and Britain basically, but the U.S., Western world, are going to hit with force. Meaning this, it's real possible once again that the U.S. is going to have a real confrontation with Russia. Now, this is not the first time it was close, but because of the environment, the same, one of the news stories today was also George Papadopoulos is, finally getting his sentence for the Russia story, the Russia collusion. And if I can't explain it all, but it's basically such a low-level thing that happened with that man. It's national news that a criminal associated with the Russia story on the front page or the top things of these websites, news websites. And of course that, I can't explain all that again, but the George Papadopoulos thing was a ridiculous thing, very low-level thing, and it's almost like they set him up to kind of be involved in the Russia thing. But yet that makes top news along with a real story that I just explained. So what you have now in the country and part of this has to do with the media. You have a lot of people thinking that Trump is connected somehow. There's reports that come out in the media that Trump is sort of like a puppet of Putin, which he is not. But because you've had people that were at one time reputable that say those things out of anger, whether it's John Brennan or others, because they're mad that their agencies have been looked into for the first time in this manner in many years. And then you have the possibility that rebels or terrorists might indeed launch chemicals. And it might mean we'd have a direct confrontation with Russia. And it might play on Trump's mind that everybody says, and the media might even report it, that Trump started World War III to cover for his collusion. I wouldn't doubt that the media might report something like that. Mr. Obama also, when I got it on, Mr. Obama gave one of his, first real political speeches coming up to the midterm. Now, I read somewhat of the speech. I think Mr. Obama has tried to be gracious about with the way many Democrats are really going after Mr. Trump, and I think in many ways in an unfair way, to try to get these kids in jail. Some were pushing for Don's son to go to jail over the Trump thing, the tower meeting. So Mr. Obama basically said, Trump is not the cause, but the symptom. Now that might upset some hard left liberals, but at the same time, it would also upset some right on the right of the conservatives. And then Mr. Obama said he tried to maybe compare the media coverage that he had, which was not negative at all. They went out of their way, okay? Media people described Chris Matthews, he said MSNBC, a top NBC news person, when he covered Mr. Obama's speeches, said, when I hear him speak, there's a tingle that goes up my leg, that I'm enthralled. That was media coverage of Mr. Obama. Okay? That's one of many I can give you. But he said, when Fox was critical of me, Mr. Obama said, I didn't attack the media. What you're seeing with the media in this country is not just criticism, not just calling for the 25th Amendment. Some today, Elizabeth Warren, Senator, said, remove him now, get him. I heard Mr. Dowd is not a partisan lawyer, but Mr. Dowd was one of Mr. Trump's first lawyers in the Russia investigation. Eventually Dowd left, maybe he was booted out, but he left amicably, that's how it was reported, and then Mr. Trump has Mr. Giuliani as his next lawyer. And Mr. Dowd was considered sort of like an establishment lawyer, meaning he wouldn't be somebody that would kind of go after Mueller. I heard a short clip of Mr. Dowd last night. It was a clip from the Hannity show, granted. And he seemed like a serious man, Mr. Dowd. And Hannity on Fox asked him, why couldn't you have worked something out in your negotiations with Mr. Mueller? And Mr. Dowd said, I thought Mr. Mueller basically was an honorable man. We were giving him the information he asked for during the whole process. They were trying to work it out amicably, the whole Russia thing. And then Mr. Dowd said, and after we gave them what they asked, said, is there anything else you really want to look at with us? He said, then basically Mueller was not a man of his word. It was a short clip. And I believe what Mr. Dowd said. In essence, Mueller is unable to wrap up such a major thing without having what he feels is some convictions. And he's gotten some already. I just talked about a few. So all of that shows me the important things like the Syria situation. The important things are also being mixed in with the ridiculous things. So this is just a news update. I would not have done it except I just had a record right here. And I'll upload this, whatever title I give, right? I saw my friends today, and I'm going to hopefully see a few more. God bless everybody.